Yeah, I think it's spot on that I'm really always just kind of thinking about everyone else. And mostly a lot of times what pops in my mind is there's something pressing or important that I want to make well known. I really want to put out there. So I think really I've just been blessed with any kind of engagement. I don't, I'm just a typical person. So to have anybody at all, I mean, we all are, but I am very grateful for any kind of engagement. So what's really interesting about the braces is I was given those before I found out that I needed neck surgery.
Ah,
So before neck surgery, which I had about 2 years ago, I fell several times a day. It just got to the point where it was either a walker 100% of the time, or I wasn't getting up. I wasn't moving. I wasn't going anywhere because, I would just be on my way and then boop, straight down. I was bruising my knees. I was just, falls are no fun. So because I started like falling and then I was like getting numbness, tingling in my hands and
ah,
my feet, constantly dropping things. Like I would think I had it in my hand and just didn't. I had no grip. So I was definitely losing strength and kind of what I got from my surgeon that did the neck surgery was that, neck is weird. And, he's seen all kinds of stuff where, spinal cord injuries have caused just really bizarre things that you don't maybe not necessarily see. I have horrific anxiety, especially when it comes to anything medical related. And I think that's common for a lot of us because of just how much shit we've had to deal with
mm-hmm.
while, through this whole medical journey. But yeah, it was a good thing. I kind of was like at first like I don't think I can't do it that quickly. So they were like, "Why don't you come in and talk to the surgeon again and just let him know what your fears are." And I went back in and told him, I'm afraid. Just all kinds of things, just let it all out. And he just very blatantly was like, "There is no fixing this." He was like, "The amount of damage is to a point where there's no amount of PT you could do. There's no amount, I mean, there's just nothing that we can do for you other than surgery." And he was like, regaining some ability came with a lot of fear because I am aware that I will lose it again. Maybe not to that same extent, but at some point, I don't know. At some point it will get really,
Ah,
we just we have to, those are the things you just kind of have to accept that at some point it's going to be really fucking bad. Well, there is that mix between feeling like we need to show ourselves in a positive light because of all the stigma around disability. So it almost feels like this pressure to when we post to make ourselves look like well disabled joy, this
okay.
we're having a great time. This is great. Look good. Everything's nice. And I think it's very true that there isn't a lot of vulnerability and openness about how it actually is not a fun, easy thing to do in any sense. I have one controversial thing to kind of throw out, but
Sure.
I think there really is a difference in the treatment and the experience of having a visible and a not so visible
Oh,
disability.
hell yeah.
There's this persona I feel like that so many disabled people feel like they have to put on where they are inspirational and kind and, just this delicate, sweet, childlike figure. And when a disabled person is like, "No, I'm a grown ass adult," and they act like a grown ass adult, then all of a sudden it's like, "Oh, well, mm-mm, You're not inspiring to me, so I'm not going to follow you.
Hmm.
It's really frustrating that so many people get online and they expect respect and love and support and just all this crap that's like, what world do you live in? It's you got to take the good with the bad, you know. And every once in a while, her posts will hit, place they don't want to be, and people will just say some of the cruelest things about a child, and that is just like, and I like to imagine that this is like some, you know, 13-year-old boy, just like, not doesn't have the thought process to understand like exactly what they're doing.
Hmm.
I remember how I felt, you know, with my mom not being available. And it breaks my heart to think I feel like and I was telling my dad this the other day. I feel like there is a little bit of selfishness in just feeling like, well, I just want a kid.
Hmm.
It doesn't matter. I'll figure it out. Maybe I don't have enough money. Maybe I don't have this or that, but we'll just figure it out. And
Hmm.
it's like that's selfish. There's selfishness in that. You're not thinking about the kid. You're just thinking about really wanting a kid.
Hello, welcome to my podcast, To My Fun Joe Suits. I am Joe Suits. I'll be giving my to Jessica. Jessica is dealing with a group of rare diseases. We got Ehlers-Danlos syndrome and mast cell activation syndrome, who wears AFO or ankle foot leg braces. So let's say we have a button. You can press the button and all your diseases will disappear, but a random person has to die. Would you press the button?
Oh, no, I don't
No.
think I would.
No? Okay.
No, I don't think I could.
Even if it's because I feel like there are more bad people than good, so like the chances of a bad person is much higher. That wouldn't sway your decision.
You know, you make a really great point there, but I don't think I would.
Okay, I respect your opinion.
Yeah, I think there might come a time where I'm like, fuck this. Yeah, push the button. But I think at the moment I'm I wouldn't. I'm not ready to push the button yet.
Okay, okay, yeah. It's 0 for 2 right now. I'm just about people who are not pressing the button. But okay, I respect your opinion.
I usually am that person though. I'm a very I've always been a put other people first, even if they're
Hmm.
shit. I don't know.
Well, well, I'm glad you touched that because that's gonna be the segue to my next question. Is I know on if you go on your Instagram, it seems like you're always a person that likes to help other people. But the thing is, like, how can people help you, like the audience?
Yeah, I that's a hard one because yeah, I think it's spot on that I'm really always just kind of thinking about everyone else. And mostly a lot of times what pops in my mind is there's something pressing or important that I want to make well known. I really want to put out there. So I think really I've just been blessed with any kind of engagement. I don't, I'm just a typical person. So to have anybody at all, I mean, we all are, but I am very grateful for any kind of engagement. I've made some incredible connections. For example, getting to meet and talk to you. Um, I just, that's been huge for me is, whether it's somebody just sending a quick message of, solidarity, or it's, meeting somebody from a different country and they come to visit and you meet that person. Like,
Ah,
what?
that's
Yeah.
it. It, it curious, like people from other countries find you, and it's like, one, how did you find me? And two, can I find someone like the same like area as me, not like cross water, you know? Like
Right.
make it a little easier on myself, you know.
Yes. Yeah, I get that. I get that.
Like I don't know. It's that's a weird phenomenon with the the whole Instagram space of like meeting people from across the world. It almost
Right.
seems like the world is small, but it's really large.
Oh,
Especially,
totally.
especially like just sitting on a plane is like I think it takes like what 18 hours to get to Australia, and it's like holy shit, that's so far, you know?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, it's funny you say that because my friend is from Australia.
Of course, of course. Yeah.
But
Yeah,
yeah, the
yeah, you have to pay me a lot to go to Australia though. Just the flight alone is hell.
oh my God, yeah. I'm 100% in that boat with you. I wouldn't. You couldn't pay me enough.
Yeah, like I'd rather like go to space at that point. I feel like space is closer than Australia.
That's fair. It probably isn't, but probably is.
I think I mean I don't know. I never watched like the space. I think it is close actually. I think it's like a couple of hours versus 18. But
I mean, I kind of think so. I think you're right about it.
oh no, did we just shit on Australia altogether? Okay, okay. Might have to cut all of that out.
Yeah. Yeah, we have a whole, yeah, a whole, well, what is it? Yeah, you're totally gonna have to cut this out. Continent, country, both.
Yeah, but like I do met people from different countries, and like I talked to one person, and she like they don't do that much advocacy in their country, so I wonder if
Okay.
there's like a culture. Well, the woman that told me about it was from India, so I think their culture is way
Mm,
different than like Australia. But I think there's something in their culture that they don't advocate as much. So I feel like they find a lot of Americans to help
mm,
advocate, so they share the message. So that's why we get a lot of foreigners, I guess you would call them,
mhm.
because they relate to us, and there's not many. So I think maybe it's just a culture difference that they just don't advocate it much at all, or anything at all, just because I get. I mean, I understand some are looked down upon. You know, you don't want to showcase like, hey, you're sick and you're feeling this way. Like it's more like you just don't share it. So I think it's interesting how we're so open with us, our stories.
Right, right. No, I've talked to people from places that have expressed the same thing, that it's very isolating experience in the sense that the openness for just anything disability related or accessibility is just almost non-existent. And so I agree. I think there really is that gravitation of us all kind of coming together on social media so that we can kind of live through that through each other.
Yeah, it's strange, but I welcome it. It is nice to get like likes in the middle of like 2 a.m. where you think like, why are they so late? And then you realize, oh, it was just probably like during the daytime, you know?
Exactly. Yep. Yeah, the whole time zone is, but yeah, that does make it a little challenging to really actually connect with somebody.
Yeah, I try not to do interviews with them because time zone is just, I refuse to do Australian guests because the time zone is extremely confusing.
Right.
And I can't even, sometimes if I interview, so I live on the East Coast and sometimes interview on the West Coast. And sometimes I even get the time zone wrong. Like I remember one
Right.
time I was trying to interview someone and they were late. I was like, hey, where are you? And then they're like, oh, you're an hour early. I'm like, oh, okay.
Oh, that's totally me. I would do that.
Yeah. So like I didn't have anything planned. So I just like sat there for an hour waiting to start.
Like,
I mean,
okay.
I watched an episode, but I was just like, damn, okay. I look like an idiot, and then I just stepped away. But you, you learn the hard way, right?
Yeah, trial and error.
Okay, so let's talk about AFO braces because you're pretty vocal about them. So like,
Mhm.
how often would you say you fall?
So, what's really interesting about the braces is I was given those before I found out that I needed neck surgery.
Ah,
So before neck surgery, which I had about 2 years ago, I fell several times a day. It just got to the point where it was either a walker 100% of the time, or I wasn't getting up. I wasn't moving. I wasn't doing, going anywhere because, I would just be on my way and then boop, straight down. I was bruising my knees. I was just, falls are no fun. So
yeah.
after some point of finally finding out why I was falling because of an injury to my spinal cord and my neck, after the
Huh.
surgery, there really was I would say, some significant improvement. It took over a year of PT for me to really kind of get, you know, of course not 100%, but to get to a place where, I felt like, yeah, I'm in a decent place, but I still need the braces. I still fall, not nearly as much as I used to, but if I don't have the braces, I may fall like once a day, but probably be able to catch myself.
Okay.
It really depends, it's, sometimes you have those good days, sometimes you have those bad
Mm-hmm.
days. And, I wear the braces, I would say 80% of the time. It's really when I'm just at home and, I'm maybe going to I'm going to walk 10 feet, and
Uh-huh.
if I need to, there's like a couch to grab onto. So they definitely give me that support. And I have issues with my ankles and my feet. And so the braces also help align my feet and keep my ankles stable. So it's kind of just a disaster, from here down, but really from the knee down is pretty bad.
Okay, so I'm a little confused. So I know the braces support your ankle
Mhm.
and like the lower the knee, but like, do you have like, I'd say you have more of like a muscle weakness, but is it a balance issue since you say you got surgery on your neck?
Yes, so balance was huge.
Okay.
It was, well, because the whole surgery issue, sorry, I'm dropping stuff,
No worries.
started because I started like falling and then I was like getting numbness, tingling in my hands and
Uh,
my feet, constantly dropping things. Like I would think I had it in my hand and just didn't. I had no grip. So I was definitely losing strength. And kind of what I got from my surgeon that did the neck surgery was that, neck is weird. And, he's seen all kinds of stuff where, spinal cord injuries have caused just really bizarre things that you don't maybe not necessarily see. So I think I don't know my point on this, but I guess I guess yes, balance was definitely an issue. Weakness was definitely an issue. It was coordination. It was like I couldn't walk in a straight line.
uh,
It just like progressively all these neurological things just pretty slowly. Like it happened within a span of I would say maybe 2.5 to 3 years, where it
okay.
finally got to a point that it was like I can't walk. I am struggling to do almost anything because of the neurological symptoms.
Okay. Removing like the ankle part, you were having a lot of other issues caused by your neck. And when you got the neck surgery, I would say it slightly improved your lower the knee, but like you still needed something more, so that's where the braces came in, and now you're able to walk more without falling. And that's a good way to put it.
Yes, absolutely. And the braces, I've only fallen once in the braces, and I've had them for 3 years. So I feel like
Wow,
that's
that's
a
great.
good, yeah. And I worked just tirelessly in PT for, you know, I mean, I was going 3 times a week for an hour, working just so hard to kind of get any bit of strength and balance back. And so before the surgery, the surgeon was very open in the fact that they have no idea what will happen afterwards. He was very open with the fact that yes, I don't think it's going to eliminate your falling, but he said it's very possible it'll help or at least maybe minimize progression. So they were open with the fact that this isn't going to cure, the issue, but it did have a significant impact in things like the numbness and the tingling.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not really dropping things like I used to. I do have an essential tremor,
Mm-hmm.
so that doesn't help. But at least I'm dropping things because of that and not because I have spinal cord injury.
Okay. So it seems like the surgery was a good thing for you.
It was. It was terrified because I mean, basically I had an MRI and then the next day I get this call like, hey, we got to schedule surgery. And they
Mm.
wanted to do it within, I think, 2 weeks of
But
telling.
okay, that's quite.
And I mean, yeah, it's a major surgery. So I was scared.
Mhm.
And I'd never had a major surgery before. I'd had minor things, minor procedures, but nothing like this. I have horrific anxiety, especially when it comes to anything medical related. And I think that's common for a lot of us because of just how much shit we've had to deal with
Mm-hmm.
while, through this whole medical journey. But yeah, it was a good thing. I kind of was like at first like I don't think I can't do it that quickly. So they were like, "Why don't you come in and talk to the surgeon again and just let him know what your fears are." And I went back in and told him, I'm afraid. Just all kinds of things, just let it all out. And he just very blatantly was like, there is no fixing this. He was like, the amount of damage is to a point where there's no amount of PT you could do. There's no amount, I mean, there's just nothing that we can do for you other than surgery. And he was like, and the longer we wait, the more likely the problems you're having are going to become permanent. And I think that is what really made me like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
let's do this. Because yeah, I felt like, fuck it. I just try it. I don't know. Sometimes you just have to, you just do it.
No, I totally understand where you're coming from. Like I know the best case scenario is always awesome, but you're always thinking of the worst case scenario. Like you don't want your life to get worse, even though
Mm,
you can't imagine it getting worse, but like you don't want it to get worse, you know? So I totally understand.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. They give you a sheet that they want you to sign of like all the risks, and it's like, death and this and that. And it's, you're like, oh yeah, okay. This sounds great.
I mean, I'm gonna ask about the button now. Like, would you press the button then? Would you say?
You know what? That's a really good question because I probably.
Uh, got him, got him. We
I
we got a
probably would
converter
say
here.
that. Surgery changed me.
See, okay, I got him. But yeah, I totally understand the whole fear of it. But I'm super glad it went well for you, and you seem, besides you dropping something during the video, which we have video proof now. But I'm glad you're way better than I guess you ever thought, because a lot of this a lot of diseases are very like downward and they like stay, but they never like go up again. So it's awesome that it seemed like you kind of maybe reversed some of the damage and you were able to live more a better life than you have ever imagined.
Yes, and I think that's super important to bring up because regaining some ability came with a lot of fear because I am aware that I will lose it again. Maybe not to that same extent, but at some point, I don't know. At some point it will get really,
uh,
we just, we have to, those are the things you just kind of have to accept that at some point it's going to be really fucking bad.
You're gonna message me in like a year or two and be like, "Where's the button? Where's the button?"
I know. That's for sure.
No, I mean, I wish you. I guess. I guess I would say I wish your days would stay the same forever. You know, that's just the best we can hope for.
Yeah, well, and I just am trying to enjoy it. The good days when I have good days,
Mm-hmm.
trying to savor those, just really cherish the time that I have where I do feel like I can, do this or that because, you know, there is so much that I've lost and
Mm-hmm.
it's good to focus on the things that I guess I still have. Probably will lose eventually, but at least I have them now.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you like. I mean, I maybe probably no, but I don't know if you can. But it seems like you just use like your couch as like support, and I don't see too many canes. But if you want like more fancier canes, I know like a website that sells like nicer canes that like fit your outfit more. If that's something you're interested in,
No,
to help.
totally. I have had the same cane for probably 7 years, 8 years. It was $12 at like Walmart, and I've painted it like twice.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, I'm definitely in the market
Yeah.
for
I mean,
something that's nicer and
yeah.
more stylish.
Well, I know the website in the UK, but I wonder if they sell in the United States. But yeah, they sell like all these crazy looking canes. I feel like something you would definitely would want to look
Is
into.
is it the cool crutches?
I don't remember the name of it. I remember I do know some people that I follow use them, but I can definitely get you the name after the episode. Cause
Yeah, cool.
it's just like one of it's like a fashion person and she buys a bunch, so it matches her outfit more because she has to use it all the time. And I mean,
Right.
like I have the cane here that I'm sure everyone's familiar with and looks awful, but I'm just too cheap to buy a new one, So it
Right.
works. It works for my case, but I do know if you have a more stylish looking cane, you're more likely to use it than a medical one like this one because it looks horrible.
I don't know. I have one like that because I've got two of my Walmart canes, and I have one that definitely looks like it's just out of the hospital. But it works like a dream.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, I
So
mean they work, like there's no doubt about it, but it just looks horrible. And then I
right,
don't know, it just gives you like a negative. Like yes, it sucks to use mobility aids. Like I know people will be on Instagram and like love their mobility aids, but I know everyone hates them. They're just not gonna say it, but we all
yeah,
hate them. Like we don't want to use them, but like if it makes you look better or if it suits your style more, I think you're more likely to be more confident with it versus just I
no,
don't
I
know.
agree.
So, but like if you're also gonna use the cane for 5-10 years, you might as well look as good as you can be. Like rock with it instead of like don't look at my cane, please. Like I'm gonna, I get totally get it. So
Yeah, no, I agree. It is strange how yeah, I think a lot of us feel like well, there is that mix between feeling like we need to show ourselves in a positive light because of all the stigma around disability. So it almost feels like this pressure to when we post to make ourselves look like we're, well, disabled joy, this
like
we're having a great time, this is great, look good, everything's nice. And I think it's very true that there isn't a lot of vulnerability and openness about how it actually is not a fun, easy thing to do in any sense.
everyone that loves their mobility, they're like lying. I know, like I can prove it if you look at people that use mobility aids. If you look at their photos, they will not be with the mobility aids. So it's like, so like you're saying you like them, but you like don't like them. It's like okay, But like I think secretly everyone don't like them, and if they want to have like a photo shoot, they're not gonna put it with them. I do it for my videos too. I'm not gonna be a hypocrite about it. Like I can stand for a couple minutes, but so like I'll stand because I look better versus being in a wheelchair because I think everyone does. Like even if you just take a regular person and put them in a wheelchair, it just makes them look less attractive. It's just like it's like a psychology thing. I can't understand it, but like it, that just totally makes sense. And you wanna look your best. So like yeah, like I think just to be aware of that. Sure, you can love your mobility aids, but you can love your mobility aids, but like we all know that we don't like them, and that's just normal psychology thing. And it's
Right.
okay. It's okay to not like them, but like if it helps you, like please use it though. I don't want you to fall.
Totally, totally. No, and I agree. I think I probably should invest in something that gives me a little bit more confidence when I go out because I mean my PT was the same way. She was like, you probably be using a cane with your braces, and I'm like you said, I just sometimes I struggle because I'm like, well, I already got the fucking braces on. I don't want to
Yeah.
It's just it's hard. And I think, I have one controversial thing to kind of throw out, but
Sure.
I think there really is a difference in the treatment and the experience of having a visible and a not so visible
Oh,
disability.
hell yeah.
Um, yeah, and I think I see a lot online where people are trying to say like, don't minimize these invisible disabilities. And I understand they should be minimized, but I think it's also important to recognize there is some privilege in not having your disability displayed open.
Oh, hell yeah. I mean, that's what sucks about the disability community that's so varied in so many different aspects that, like, yeah, we're both disabled, but like totally different, really, the ways of life. Like, it's almost like we can both be disabled but have totally different experiences. And it's almost like we shouldn't even be together at all because we're speaking for totally different subgroups of people.
Totally. Yes, I get that. Well, I was just going to say more on that. I think it bothers me because slowly but surely, I'm starting to see more brands, tokenize disabled people and, use them for an ad or a campaign. But they're always palatable disabled people, if that makes
Yeah. Yeah.
you know what I mean?
I'm, I mean, yeah, like if you want to disable people, you're gonna find like the most disabled person you can find. Like totally get it. Like that's just marketing 101.
Right, right. Yeah,
Like I feel like the disability community they sometimes become in this bubble kind of thing, and they don't realize how the real world works. And I try to speak from the real world perspective, and not just from a niche community because I mean, I think you can surround yourself with enough people that everyone supports you in your world, but like if you go based on the whole world, as it's just a totally different way of seeing like disabled people. So like I'm a very polarizing figure, so I have no problem with it. So like one example would be the best the best disability advocate is actually a person that's not disabled, not because they're not disabled, not because of disability, but more based on people will react and listen to people that are not disabled, or at least not disabled looking, better than any person
hmm
that's disabled. That's just a psychological human characteristic that we have to navigate. So no matter how hard I try, I will never be as respected as someone that's non-disabled and such. Even though I have first-hand experience and all that, it just doesn't matter. That is something I have to go with. I can complain on Instagram and all that, but literally not going to do anything. Like, and then like another thing is so people be like, oh, like we represent like 45% of the population. like disabled people, but like how many are really? I think a lot. But one, I think a lot are just doing like regardless of it, no matter what.
Hmm.
They're just living their life. And then two, I don't think they're as supportive as they claim to be. So like numbers wise, we have like enough numbers to like, like let's say we want to support disabled actors and actresses. We have enough numbers to like watch the show and like have them continue it, and then the more fame that disabled person gets, the more job they get. But like every time there's like a disabled actor in a movie, did anybody watch it? No, they don't watch it because they rather watch something else. So it's like you say you want this, but like you're not showing it with that, or like you want disabled clothing, but like you're not supporting it with money. So it's like you want Target, for example, to sell disability clothing, but if you look at their sales number, they don't have good sales numbers, and it's like, and then people bitch about it, like, hey, why are people not creating disability clothing? It's like, it's technically your fault, but you're not buying any of it. You're still buying non-disabled clothing, so it's like,
Right. Yeah.
you want X, Y, and Z, but then you don't support it with money, and money makes the world go round. They gotta make money making the clothes. Like I know it costs them probably like 20 cents, but it also costs them to like you know talk to disabled people what is about clothing and create an infrastructure, and that is a lot of money invested into it. And but
Hmm.
like no one buys it, it's a waste of money on their part, so they're not gonna do it, and then it's a vicious cycle because then these disability people bitch about it, and then something comes along and they're like, no, I'm not gonna support with my money, and it's like, okay, so like, what do you want? Like, you know what you want, but you're not doing anything about it. So like, it's just, it's
Yeah.
that's why
Yeah.
like,
You have to. I was just gonna say you have to practice what you preach. You have to actually. It doesn't. You have to. You have to take action. You can't just spit words out.
no, I totally get. Like, there'll be a lot of disabled people that just complain on Instagram. It's like you can't complain on Instagram. It's not gonna do anything. You gotta go and confront the person to make change. So like an example I'll give is, like people bitch about like regular people parking in disabled parking spots. And then they'll make a whole video about like, look how horrible this person is, blah blah blah. And then all the comments like, hey, did you confront the person? Did you like try to make a change? And they say no. And I'm like, okay, that person would never see your video. Your audience that you're preaching to are all disabled, so obviously they're not gonna park in it. So the same. So you're getting kind of support, but at the same time you're not really doing anything because you're gonna be in the same bullshit you were the next time. It's like if you want to make change, you gotta go confront the person. That's
Hmm.
how that's how anybody really make change. Like went and confronted a person and try to make change. And I see a lot in the disability community. They just rather complain about it but not do anything about it. Even when there's like a good logical solution out there, but they don't want it. They just bitch about it online. It's super annoying. That's
Yeah. No.
yeah, you can go.
Well, and I'm a confronter, and I'm sorry. My ADHD gets bad, so I'm so sorry for cutting you off because
No, no worries. I want to hear you. Go ahead.
I'm just one of those people. Oh no, yeah, I know. I absolutely am a confronter. I have no problem, and I have, and I've done it with non-disabled friends with me, and I know I've made them uncomfortable. But I just kind of had that conversation where I was like, well, my focus is advocacy work. So it would be a little hypocritical of me to not actually take action when I'm seeing it in front of me.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand that there's a lot of people that are just a little more timid or a little just probably scared. They're scared to confront people. Yeah, I'm like ready to fight them all.
Uh-oh. No, I mean I totally get like the timid part and like shy and such, but like I just don't think they realize that they think they're making change, but like they're really not, and they just don't see that. They just think like, oh, I'm just gonna post on social media, and like, oh,
Hmm.
the world is being better, and it's like, no, it's not. It's like reading like all these, the ADA law that passed. It's not that people just, the people that went and protested and went to Congress and they made a change. They didn't just sit at home doing nothing, just complain about it.
Mm,
Like the real change are people that went out there to Congress, and those are the true advocates, the ones that go into Congress and they talk, sucking dick all the time, and then they totally forget what they're talking about. And but those are the true advocates that are trying to change the laws and that truly affecting, our ways of life, not just complaining on Instagram. The only
mm,
the only people that can do that are people that have like millions of followers that can really affect them. But if you have like less than 100,000 followers, it's really not gonna do much at all. Like
right.
you're just preaching to choir and just want self validation and attention.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think, yeah, a lot of performance activism that just isn't it. It's just for show,
Yeah.
and that is pretty frustrating.
But then what the other problem I guess is come to the echo chamber of things. But like sometimes I'll post like an unpopular opinion and then all their followers will just attack me for it,
Mm,
and it's like I just sometimes don't think they think of what they're backing up, and I'm just like, okay, like just because you have tons of support does not mean that you are necessarily correct.
mm,
And but at the same time, I can't hate them because some of them have like huge followings, 100,000, and I'm just like,
right.
there's so many people
Trust.
that think like this person. I'm just like,
Mm,
am I like just a minority person that don't agree with me? Like, what happened? Because obviously, no one's gonna defend me here because, I mean, some do, but like they'll defend me quietly while I get all the pitchforks
mm,
and stabbings, and they're just sipping their tea, but
right.
that's okay. That's okay.
Well, and I think that that's a good point because I've really noticed, so many disabled creators commenting on how much they hate, disability porn, but they engage in it. That's what their entire account is. It,
Oh, they're
and
hypocrites, 100%.
yeah, and it's kind of like, yeah, yeah, you're just not, yeah. Or, and the other parts too is there's this persona I feel like that so many disabled people feel like they have to put on where they are inspirational and kind and, just this delicate, sweet, childlike figure. And when a disabled person is like, no, I'm a grown ass adult, and they act like a grown ass adult, then all of a sudden it's like, oh, well, mm-mm, mm-mm, you're not inspiring to me, so I'm not going to follow you.
hmm
And that's, it's like, no, you should be following the people that are going to tell you like it is.
I totally understand where you're coming from, but I think what kind of happens with that is like you want to post to get engagement and like. So I see sometimes that happen with disability people. So like if they post about disability stuff, they get more likes. But then if they
Mhm,
post about like their cat or something or their hobby, they don't get as many likes. So like now they're
mhm,
like, are they trying to be true to themselves or are they going more for the engagement and like? So like you kind of have to create like a character of yourself, and but then you can also it also become like your pigeonhole. Because now you have to stick to the one persona that you created. If you change like a
mhm,
little bit, or like you have a controversial opinion like I do, you might lose followers, and it's like you don't, your whole goal like you want to gain a following and followers and not rub people the wrong way. So it's like, what do you do? Because if you lose followers and you lose sponsors, some people do make money off of that. I see that, so like you don't want that.
mhm,
But like I feel like the other thing that if you talk to them privately, they're more agreeing with me, where I'm more
mhm.
vocal, but they won't express it outside. They'll they embrace the toxicity of it, and it's like, come on, like like you're creating a problem that you hate anyway for your own benefit. So it's like you're hypocritical.
Right, right. No, I totally agree.
So, but uh, so yeah, so like that's why like I think I'm sometimes like I'm surprised how not popular I get, but sometimes like the likes and stuff. I'm always like, how is this video gonna turn out today? Because I don't know how the audience will be. You know, like it can hit the
Right.
algorithm, and it can get like the people that really support you, and it can all get the people that really hate you too. And I'm just like to me, I'm a very I like think a lot of things. So like when I say like an opinion, I'm not just like I don't just think of something and just like write it down, like say it out loud, like think about it, like does it make sense? Is there I always think of like, wait, can I counteract this argument? Like, how can someone, like fight me on this? So I try to think of like all the scenarios. So like when I do
Mhm.
get a comment, I can kind of like react accordingly. Like, oh, like the person don't like me. Like, okay, I totally understand their perspective. I can somewhat agree with them. I can somewhat see their point of view, but I don't agree with them. So I totally try to think
Mhm.
of the good and bad. So when I do get negative comments, it doesn't really affect me that much. I'm just like, okay, that's fine. That's your opinion.
Mhm. And I think that's how you have to be. I think it's really frustrating that so many people get online and they expect respect and love and support and then just all this crap that's like, what world do you live in? It's you got to take the good with the bad, you know. And you just and I love the quote. Can't remember where it's from, but it says you could be the juiciest peach in the whole world and there will still be somebody who doesn't like you. So I
Yeah.
just kind of think it gives you that you could be the best person you that most people would think, and you're still going to be disliked. You just have to accept the fact that not everybody's going to like you. But it does suck because I think sometimes when one of our posts gets a lot of traction, it ends up in places where there's, not disabled people. And sometimes that's good because you want it there. You want non-disabled people to be
Yeah.
seeing our content. But sometimes the comments is just like horrifying.
It
And I
totally is.
agree, you just
Yeah.
kind of got to be like, whatever. But yeah, it's that is hard where it's like this is the audience I want to reach. I want to reach non-disabled people so that they can understand my experience and learn. But they're also assholes. It can be really mean.
it, yeah, it's just difficult because yeah, you say you want to reach non-disabled people, but at the same time they don't understand. They just don't understand sometimes without their
Hmm.
experience. So like obviously they're gonna dismiss you. Like some guests I talk to, especially if they have invisible disabilities, I just like know when I post a video that they're gonna get shitted on because it's just a misunderstanding of it. And it's like like they just say like how they feel, but like there's no physical proof of how they feel. And like
Hmm.
chronic fatigue, like you have like your chronic fatigue, and it's like it's like people will be like, oh, just drink a cup of coffee and like pony
Right.
up and you know be an adult, and you're just like, no, it's not possible. Like I don't understand either, but like I respect it, but like there's be some that just don't understand it, and like it's a real
Yeah.
connection. And so yeah,
Yeah. And
yeah, you can go.
well, I was just gonna say what I was gonna say. Um, I lost it.
uh,
Must have not been. It wasn't that good.
nah. Well, I'll just do one last point that we'll move on. Yeah, like sometimes I'll see like these like families of like the mom would be like a normal mom and like dad would be normal, and then they'll have like disability kids, and then like the comedy would be just so ruthless against them. It's like it totally I don't know how it hits the algorithm, it totally hits the wrong algorithm and you got like the worst people on the planet, and they just go hard on this people. Like I did think like
Right.
I wonder how like the parents are reacting to these comments. Like I'm sure they love getting 100,000 likes, but is it the right likes that they want? So I did wonder what they're going through their mind, you know?
No, that can be, I do follow a mother of, she's not disabled, but her child is. And I can't remember the name of the condition, but it's a skin condition. It affects much more than skin. It's a systemic condition, but
Mm-hmm.
it is something that I think not the medical term, but like the layman's term they use for it is the butterfly skin, where they
Yeah,
have the
I know what you're
really
talking about.
sensitive.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
horrible.
So and she's got a young girl, and every once in a while her posts will hit, place they don't want to be. And people will just say some of the cruelest things about a child. And that is just like, and I like to imagine that this is like some, you know, 13-year-old boy just like, not doesn't have the thought process to understand like exactly what they're doing, But I don't know. It can also be an adult that's just a complete, asshole.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. There's always like a fine line between, like expressing your opinion, I guess respectfully, and then just like roasting them, you know, like it.
Exactly.
But like I think no matter how you come across, you'll just always look like a bad person in the end, no matter how respectful you are. It's just like, oh, I don't know. But you also like to me, like I also like I'll give an example for myself. So there was a woman that was in a wheelchair and she's pregnant, and so I made a comment that if you are unable to take care of yourself, you shouldn't have kids. If you're
Hmm.
unable to get a job, you shouldn't have kids. Like you say, your life is hard, and pregnancy is like one of the worst things a woman can go through, just based on all the health changes during the pregnancy and afterwards. And then also, it's unfair to rely on other people to take care of something that you want, but you can't physically do yourself. So I just feel like if you can't take care of yourself, don't have a kid. If you are gonna practically don't have a kid, so a lot of people like hated me for that. And like
Right.
on the one hand, I felt kind of like I was just expecting like if you can have kids, like at the same time I felt bad for myself because imagine you're the mom with a pregnant child and it's like the guy is saying like, oh, I shouldn't have kids because I'm disabled and I'm just and like like pregnancy is kind of a great thing and like you don't want someone to like shit on it, So like I felt
Yeah.
bad at that, but at the same time I'm defending an opinion that it's not fair to the child to be brought up in a world that, might have the same condition as them and, maybe their life is decent, like the mother's life. There are so many other disabled people whose lives aren't that good at all and it's like the odds are greatly against them, you know. But then there might be things that the child might want to do, but you can't do. So you're kind of not being a good parent from the get-go, and it's an unfair situation to all. And I feel like my opinion holds weight because like I interview so many people, so I'm familiar with the disability world. I also met, I met some like able-bodied disabled people that can, work and, but I also met so many that will not be able to be in the real world. They can't work at all. They can't think properly. They're in home. People that you'll never see in daylight at all. They're just behind locked doors. Some of them are never even mentally go past the age of 10, But like people don't think, they always think of like the 1% of disabled people, but how about the 99% that are struggling, you know, they're on disability benefits, like money plays a big role. Like if you're poor, you don't have great parents, so many wrong things can happen, but they don't think about that. And then people are just ripping me apart like, oh, so what if you have a podcast and all that? I'm like, really? Like you're gonna just prove me that my experiences too. I've seen these people like and then people call me ableist about it. I'm just like, I'm a realistic person. Like, you have to be somewhat able to live in the real world, work and pay taxes and all that. Like, just because a lot of people live life doesn't mean it's so hard. It's still hard, but like, I would want a person that lives better, like that's equipped to do it. Like, just, but like, that's it. They have like a high mind that like everyone should be able to have kids. I'm like, not everyone should have kids. That's just, it's just unfair. Like, think about it this way. But that's just me.
I totally agreed. It's funny you bring that up because yesterday I was kind of thinking about that because I've been struggling a lot lately with just knowing that I can't conceive and also knowing adoption would never be an option because I would never qualify.
Yeah.
um, so it's just kind of one of those things where I just kind of have to grieve it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I think one of the things I think about a lot is that I wouldn't be able to raise my child. I wouldn't be able to be involved. I would need significant help. And, you know, my mom has some mental health conditions and, you know, they've really kind of gotten a lot better as she's aged. But when I was younger, they were definitely kind of at that peak.
Mm-hmm.
And she spent a lot of time sleeping. So I remember just coming home from school and she's asleep on the couch. She didn't make dinner. She didn't, you know, go to the grocery store. We didn't have food. And it really kind of, I can't, I need to rest all the time. And
Mm-hmm.
I remember how I felt, you know, with my mom not being available. And it breaks my heart to think I feel like and you know, I was telling my dad this the other day. I feel like there is a little bit of selfishness in just feeling like, well, I just want a kid. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't matter. I'll figure it out. Maybe I don't have enough money. Maybe I don't have this or that, but we'll just figure it out. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like that's selfish. There's selfishness in that. You're not thinking about the kid. You're just thinking about really wanting a kid. And I get that because I really want a kid,
Mm-hmm.
but you know, I also understand that's probably not in the cards for me and shouldn't be because, you know, I can't work I can't even work full time. How am I going to take care of a kid?
Some people just, like you said, like I think it's just totally selfish. They just want a kid, but I feel like they're just not thinking of the gravity of the situation. Like, this thinking, like, if you're unable to work a full-time job, like a kid, you think a kid is gonna be easier? I don't know. Like, I'm gonna be like you're struggling on 8 hours of sleep. So imagine your sleep's being interrupted every 4 hours. Like, you're not gonna be able to do that. Like, it's
Mhm.
crazy to me. I feel like they didn't think it through.
Well, and you know, I have two dogs and every once in a while I can feed them or maybe let them out. But for the majority of it, other people are, you know, taking care of those things. And so it also, you know, if I can't even like completely, fully take care of a dog, come on. I shouldn't have a kid.
Oh,
And I do want to say everybody's different. There are people that are incredible parents and are able to make it work. But I do agree that there are also parents that made selfish decisions.
I think most of them are pretty selfish. They just want a kid and hope for the best. But it's like, I don't think it's I don't think it's right. I'm one of those people that I don't think disability people should be able to have kids. Some can definitely have kids and be fine, but I think most are just not equipped with equipped with it, and they're just the world is really rough, and it's just not worth it. But also, don't I want my kid to be in a better position to have a condition based on what I have? It's like, like, come
Right.
on. and then you're relying on other people. Like if you have a kid, it is your responsibility, you and your husband or your wife, responsibility to have kids, not a responsibility of the family to take care of it. I do understand it takes a village to raise a child, but like we all have people where we think like, oh, like everything's great, but then you, like, we can use you as an example with a dog, oh, I have this friend that said they would walk the dog, and I get a dog, and like they say, oh, they don't want to walk the dog. It's like, but you said, but like, it's
Right.
as bad as you can be for them. It's really not their responsibility at all. It's your kid.
Right.
You brought the kid into the world. Like you have to deal with that shit. And it's like, but nope, because living life somehow. I don't know. It really upsets me about that.
I get it. I used to work with kids and I I I just loved it. But, it became very clear that I couldn't keep up. I couldn't do it. And I think that was a good like kind of experience for me to also know like I mean, I get sick a lot. And or I also think about like an emergency situation. What if something happens and I can't and I'm not able to assist or help? There's just so much to think about. It's
Yeah. I,
it's yeah,
I mean, much if we can,
complicated.
yeah, much if we talk about it, nothing can happen. People are just gonna get pregnant, day in and day out. We just gotta wait. We just gotta shake our heads and move along.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Like,
let's talk about you because we've been getting. So I know October is your favorite month. So why is it your favorite month?
oh, Halloween for sure. I just and it's weird because I am a very much like bright colors, pink, floral, just this ethereal kind of aesthetic. But
Mm-hmm.
when Halloween creeps around, I am like I revert right back to little emo Jessica when I was wee little thing, and I just go all out, and I've always loved horror, the horror genre.
Okay.
I mean, I'm a huge fan of, black and white horror. So a lot of Vincent Price, Alfred Hitchcock. I love watching, the movies, costumes. I think it's just a time where people feel a little kiddish again. And, I don't know. I just really, I enjoy, I feel like so many people, you ask, what's your favorite holiday? And it's always, Christmas or this or that because you're getting something. And I just love the leaves are changing, the air smells more crisp. It's just I feel like it's just an awesome time. It makes me happy.
But what was your favorite costume that you wore over the years?
Ooh. So this year I made a costume, and it's the first time I ever made a costume, and I was really proud. I mean, it looked janky as shit, but I'm still really proud of it. And it was so I wanted to be a razor flip phone,
Okay.
and
Yeah, I saw the
the
photo. Yeah.
yeah, the hot pink one. And I felt like I did a decent job. So I really really did like that costume, but it wasn't as much of a hit as I thought it would be because I ended up going out with my best friend she kind of talked me into going to this um, small little thing on Halloween, and everybody was so young, and they didn't know what my costume was,
Oh
and
no.
yeah, and one guy came up to me and he was asking me, and he didn't know what it was, and he was like, "My first phone was an iPhone." I was
Oh
like, "Oh,
no.
well, I'm in the wrong place." But that was probably my favorite because I did put so much work and fun into it, and I thought it was unique.
I mean, I'm for it. That's it is hilarious to me that people didn't know what it was, and I guess we're old.
I
Sad.
know. I'm not handling that very well.
No, oh my god, yeah. It cannot get worse as we get older. We're gonna become our parents that we hated our whole
Oh,
lives.
I know.
And we're gonna,
I know.
that's,
Weird how that happens.
okay,
And it's such a cliche.
yeah, but it's just, I didn't would never imagined that would happen to us, but here we are, and it's just gonna get worse and worse.
Hmm.
Okay, so before I take the mic away from you, is there anything you want to say? Promote any words of wisdom? The winning lottery numbers? The mic is all yours.
Oh gosh, no. I just I don't know. I'm grateful to have been able to talk to you. Like I feel like it was a good conversation, and
Mm-hmm.
I like that we chose to, not really have this like format of this is exactly what we're going to talk. I mean, I know you have things that to bring up, but I think I liked the flow of just kind of getting to talk to you.
Yeah.
And toss around ideas. I just think it's super important because I think one thing we touched on is some of the rift between the disability community, and I think it's good to talk about that. I think it's good to be just completely open about everybody's experience being different and that it's okay to not enjoy the experience of being disabled.
Well, I don't know what you're talking about, because I'm gonna edit all my parts out, so I look like a great person here. But no, I'll make keep it all in, because it's important to have the conversation,
Hmm.
out there, and just two people. I mean, we agree on the same thing, so it's not really anything different. But I'm sure there's others that will agree with it, but they just can't share it. And then I'm sure there'll be
Hmm.
people that do disagree with it, but they're not gonna do anything. But they're gonna go back to their bubble and then talk shit among their
Yeah.
friend. They're gonna be like, "Fuck you, Joe and Jessica and Blanca," you know. But that's just the way it goes.
Yeah. Fuck
Some
the world.
reaction a good reaction.
Hmm. Hmm.
Okay, so thank you, Jessica, so much for giving me your time and expertise. Thank you, everyone, for listening and watching, and I'll see everyone next time. Bye.
Thank you so much.